What's up, everybody? I'm back with another episode of the Keep Going podcast. Today's guest is Sean Darling. He's a realtor, real estate investor, and entrepreneur here in Oklahoma City. He's a husband, a proud girl dad of two. Sean and his wife Casie lead the Darling Homes team with Bailee and Co Real Estate, where they specialize in helping first-time homebuyers, investors, and families navigate the market with confidence. He's known for his approachable style and data-driven strategies. He combines local expertise with innovative marketing to deliver standout results for his clients. This man is awesome. I met him back in my Kivo days. We've stuck together, been friends ever since. In this episode, I get to learn more about his journey, but also we talk about the struggles we all go through, whether it's business or personal related. And I think you all will get a lot of value out of his story. I hope you all enjoy this episode. I appreciate your time, Sean. As always, keep going. Where we were, so you were talking about getting into real estate, and you said that since you had the boss that was kind of telling you that that wasn't the jump you wanted to make as far as sticking with him, it'd be better to go on to real estate. How did that make you feel?
I mean, it was pretty cool, especially because he flat out told me, like, it'd be way easier for me to just groom you into this position. I can retire, hand over the torch, and it's all done. He's like, but he also understood that, like, I was a younger him. And so he's like, man, I wish I had the old man in my life when I was your age to say, hey, like, chase dreams. Like, it's not worth, I mean, especially there because it's a factory. I mean, it's been around for ages, but everybody gets in when they're like 16, 17 years old and they retire out. You know, they work there 40, 45 years like we see. And it's just like these people, they, even if they had potential, they're just like, well, just got to show up, do my 10-hour shift and go home. And it's just like monotonous. And I was like, nah, I got to get out of this. So,
well, it's crazy what you get tested with in moments like that as well, because not only were you getting tested on your job, like, I won't be happy here, but then with your daughter, you said she was in ICU for 6 months.
Yeah.
So there's like so much pressure you're dealing with, especially trying to make a career change.
Oh, absolutely. And it was kind of cool too, which, I mean, real estate is not easy at all. And yes, there's freedom, but you're also working all the time. Mm-hmm. But like, since I got into real estate, one of the goals was like, you know, I prided myself on, you know, working the blue collar job, like missing birthdays, missing all this stuff. And then it was like a mindset shift with my youngest, like, there's no guaranteed birthdays. There's no guaranteed school events. There's no guaranteed anything. And so we made it a shift to where, like, as soon as I quit, I get to drop my daughters off at school every day. We show up to every waking and shaking at, you know, the school that they stand up there and say 3 words and we clap and leave in 5 minutes. But, like, that is a huge lasting effect on our girls versus, well, my dad's not here for the Halloween party. Oh, my dad's not here for the Christmas party. And so recently, I mean, a month ago, my wife jumped in real estate full time, but she's freaking out because, like, I'm the entrepreneur. Like, I'm okay with chasing a check. Like, I don't know where my next check's going to come, and that, like, keeps me going. Mm-hmm. That is, it destroys her. She wants structure. She's like, I want this, this, and this. But she's leaned on, we get to both now be in the pickup line, both in the drop-off line. Yeah. It's just like, that's the stuff that your kids are going to remember. They're not going to remember, well, we had this cool thing, we had this. Like, it's just, that's more than anything has been just crazy. And it took a big event for that to happen with our daughter being in the hospital. And then, I mean, we were best friends with the parents of the daughter that ended up passing away. You know, I was a pallbearer in her funeral. Like,
oh, man.
It was like, it shifted our entire life and how we looked at everything.
You were literally getting shown what can happen.
Exactly, yeah. Like, you know, and I mean, it just happened this weekend. You know, I was working a client, got to know them. They got married 15 days ago, showing houses, looked at a house Saturday night. They said they were going to fill out the application, get pre-approved, everything Sunday. I get a call from the wife, and he walked across the street and got hit by a car and passed away Sunday morning, but going to work. So it's like everybody has plans for tomorrow, and some people don't see tomorrow. So it's like, you better, if there are important plans or there's important things you're saying to people, I just go out and do it now because it's not worth it to not do it.
And you weren't always like that?
No, I definitely was very much like, it'll happen in the future. Like, it's whatever. We got time. I'm young, whatever. But now it's definitely been a shift of like, if we want it, just go after it and get it. And I like it. Like, sometimes it's a little scary because you make decisions a little bit quicker and sometimes they blow up in your face. But also, I think it's good to have a mindset like that because you live 10 times more life in a short amount of time than you do waiting.
Go ahead, sorry.
Just the older generation. I mean, the generation before us was very much like, you better work, you better put in a 401k, like you better have it for retirement. Well, now these people are getting to retirement and you're like, wait a minute, you got like 2 fake hips, you got a bad shoulder, can't sit in a car for very long, so you can't travel. And then like I see people like you where it's like, you've seen more of the world than 10 times, 10 of the people in the generation before us.
Yeah.
And I think our generation is kind of seeing that of like, go do the things, experiences are important.
Yeah, and the generation before, they don't only like focus on just work, but they also always want to say like, well, I wish I could do this, or I wish I would have seen more, or I wish I could have done that, but it didn't work out. But it's like, no, you could just decide.
Yeah, just do it.
It's hard, but it is possible. Like even the stuff you've implemented into your life, it's possible. Like you wanted to be there for your daughters and your family. You wanted to see them in the morning and in the evening. And you're like, no, I'm going to make decisions for that instead of just like compromising.
Yeah. And I heard I think it was a TikTok this morning, which it had to do with money, but it was talking about nothing is expensive. Like everything is its price. It's not expensive or it's not too expensive. It's just that you're in a position that it's too expensive for you. Somebody else is doing it all day long. And I think the same thing is with like things you're doing, not money related. Like a life can be expensive or too expensive. You think, well, it's too expensive to go travel the world and go hiking and drink coffee in the Alps or something.
Yeah.
But it's not too expensive for you because you've shifted your entire life to make sure that that's exactly the way you're going to live your life. Where it's too expensive for somebody that's working a 9 to 5 and will never go out of their comfort zone to put themselves in a position to do
Oh,
that.
yeah, because it's not all just out of, like something to add to that is it's not just expensive. Sometimes people just allocate differently.
Yeah.
So I do think you're right that our generation is leaning more towards experience to where maybe before it was like, no, I just need stability, which luckily we're in an industry where we can build stability, but also lean into the spontaneous moments too of like, oh, well, I'm going to go try this or I'm going to do this. And it ends up making you better in the long run anyway for your normal life too.
Yeah.
What was real estate like when you started then, since you just had all that life-changing moments, then decided to go into it? Did you get instant success or?
No, so I started part-time, which kind of helped, but also kind of hurt. Luckily, I was in a management position. My guys definitely saw the brunt of it because even though I was doing it part-time, I was doing real estate at my full-time job, basically. Like, I was just going full into real estate, and that's when I decided I needed to quit. But I had talked about it enough beforehand that I had some people talked into like, hey, I'm your real estate agent when I become a real estate agent. And so like right off the bat, I knocked out 2 sales within like the first month of being in real estate.
Which is not normal.
And which is not normal. Brett was telling me, man, you're going to do something for 6 months and it's going to seem like nothing's working. And then all of a sudden you're going to not do anything for 6 months and everything's working. And so I saw the first 2 sales. I'm like, oh, bro, this is easy. Like, I'm going to be a millionaire tomorrow. Like, this is awesome. Well, then after those 2, then I saw my 6-month period. And that's where it was like, oh, man, this is, and there was countless times where it's like, are we going to make it? Are we going to do this? Like, is it worth it? Like, that was a steady job. I could map it out to every year. I knew exactly what I was going to make all the way up until I retired. And so it was hard to like break that because in the back of your head, like your brain wants to protect you. And so it's like, man, you're an idiot. Like that was protection, that was safety. And so like once I got out of that and then every month I was like, man, I'm not going to make it. And then I made it and then another month and then another month. And it's kind of funny now because my wife was like my biggest supporter through the whole entire thing. Well, now she got into real estate a month ago, and she's like, "This is terrible. I'm not going to make it." Like, and I'm like, "Hey, remember, like, there was countless times that I came home like, hey, I'm just going to go get a 9 to 5. And you're like, no, you're going to figure it out." So
I remember going to my friend's garage and we were talking, and it was when I first got into real estate and new home sales. And I was like almost crying in the garage with my two best friends because I was like, "Bro, this is so hard. I've been doing this. I'm not getting a closing. I'm not getting paid." And they're like, "If anyone can do it, you can do it. Like, stick with it." And I wouldn't even think 8 years later that doesn't even seem possible that I had that conversation.
Yeah, you almost just laugh about it.
Yeah.
Like,
And then you see like your wife supporting you and then going through it herself. It's almost relieving that it's consistent that way, that it hits everybody like that, because it kind of weeds out like the people that just aren't going to make it work.
yeah.
And then if you're in it over a year, you're probably in it. Unless your yearly work is 1 or 2 a year.
Exactly. If you're full in it, like, you're not just going to fake it. Like,
no. After a year, you're in.
Yeah, it'll chew you up and spit you out. Like, there's no, like, you have to be fully committed or not.
Well, you had those 2 sales early, so at least you had a cushion. Mm-hmm. Were they buyers?
One seller, actually both sellers.
So 2
right
listings?
Off the bat, yeah.
So you got a little bit of practice on the listing side, and you got paid well.
Yeah, and it was COVID, so, like, they just flew off the shelf. It was,
you didn't do much.
Didn't have to do anything.
Well, I'm not saying, like, your work, because you did provide value and help them navigate the process. But as far as like marketability, it didn't have to get marketed long.
Yeah, exactly.
Because some people get that misconstrued as well with like, well, what does a realtor do or things like that. There's a lot that we do as far as like the connector. And I'm sure you learned that quick in even those first 2 transactions, because you probably didn't know much and you're learning like about inspections and TRs and things. So I'm sure there was a lot of conversations with Brett and stuff like that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and it's hard too, because it's like, the general public has tried to tried to make it seem like realtors don't do much. And then realtors turn around and are like on social media, "Hey, look how easy this transaction was." It's almost like, it's just so seamless. It's like, oh, so you didn't do anything is what you're telling the general public, even though there's countless nights of, trying to get everything to the finish line. And so.
No, that's important to say, because I've said that on posts where I'm like, this was a seamless transaction, but I never thought of it like negatively being interpreted by the general public. Like, seamless, did he make it easy? Or seamless, like he didn't have to do anything? I never thought of that.
Yeah. Because
you want them to be so easy that your buyer or seller doesn't have to think about anything besides like the end goal. You don't want them to have to worry about these hurdles.
And that's what I think realtors are trying to come across as, like, it was easy for my clients. My clients, it was streamlined. But you have to tell the dirty story of, like, this is where we were at. I just had one that was like a 78-day close. And me and my seller, and the seller was a pastor of a church, so it like helped out because he had way more grace than anybody should have through the transaction. Towards the end, he didn't have as much, but it was like daily talking to him. He's like, "I know there's nothing you can do." I was like, "Man, we're in it together. We're in the thick of it." And we got through it, and he was happy at the end. But those are the ones that are really important to tell the story. And what did I do? I put, "Oh, this was awesome. Everything was good," because it's almost like you get scared to tell the nightmare stories. Mm-hmm. But that's the whole reason why there's a
that's
job
true.
here.
Maybe like you always describe, me or you will like describe the transaction. Maybe that is something to add into it. Is like, here's some of the hurdles that we overcame. I never thought of it as far as like being good for them to see that, because they're like, oh, he handled a problem. Or if things do come up, look how easily it can be solved.
Exactly.
That's important, because the seamlessness is important, but you probably have to make 80 calls minimum, like per transaction.
Yeah.
So it's like contractor, contract, inspector, You're like calling all these people, and it's wild how much connecting we have to do. It's like, and I'm just venting at this point, but there's all these positions in the transaction, like the title company, the insurance, all these positions that do like their one thing. And then our job is to do all of them.
Connect everybody together.
So there's 7 people involved, and we're like holding it together. But the reason I was late is because I was kind of jumping through a few hoops, just getting one settled for tomorrow, which is fine. That's part of our job. But it was several calls to people involved in it. I never thought about that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
After your 2 sales, did you go through a dry spell?
I did. It was I think it was 4 or 5 months before
nothing.
I had another sale. And it was...
That'll test you.
Yeah, and it was, it was all self-gen, so there's no just, hey, here's somebody to call. It was open houses for sub-owners. And
were you doing FSBO appointments?
I was, yeah.
How did you feel about those?
I liked them. I mean, I didn't like them because I hated getting yelled at constantly every day. But my mentor had just done a ton of them and was one of the best in the business of doing them at the time that I started.
Brittany?
Yeah. And so I was like, well, if she can do it, I can do it. It's just doing it at that point. And even today, I cringe just thinking about calling up for sub owner. It's just man.
Well, now it would be a different conversation, though.
It really would.
It would be very straightforward.
Yeah, and it's crazy, too, is because when you need a sale or you need a transaction, you need work, the things that you are okay with not doing or doing is completely different. That's why, talking to my wife, I didn't realize that my mindset has changed. But if somebody disrespects me on a personal level, I will immediately fire them as a client. I am successful enough now that I know that my family will eat regardless if I do business with someone that's a terrible person or not. And so it's really when you get started in real estate, I think that's why people say it's so hard, is because you just get beat up daily and you just take it. You're just go back to that abusive relationship you want more. You're just it's fine. This is normal. And it's no, that's not normal. You should get treated like a human being regardless what business you're in and what you're doing.
Did you deal with some bad ones?
Yeah. I mean, there's one to this day that I will never talk to. I've got her in my CRM. I deleted her phone number and her email because I never want to talk to her again. And it was a for sub owner. And I actually double-sided it, had the sale and the buy. And then she called me back 3 weeks later and wanted to buy another house. And my wife was like, you need to lose her number. Do not do it. But I was new. And
that's $6-7 grand.
I was obviously I'm going to do it. Did it, and then almost got myself in hot water with the next transaction. It was so bad that and it was somebody I didn't know. The buyer that I brought to her was a sign caller, so I had just met him. And went through the entire transaction, and she was saying that he was stealing her mail, including some checks she was getting from the IRS and different things. So bad so that she called the cops on him and me, saying that it was theft, and he had a protective order put against her and a no contact order because she was harassing him and his family so much. And then on the new sale that she did, she threatened to sue me and the inspector because she said the inspector missed something and flooded her entire apartment and did all this stuff.
So it was ugly as it could get.
It was very much the world was against her and she was going to take down as many people as possible. And so after that one, I was very picky about if you it's one thing if I do something wrong or the transaction goes wrong and there's emotions involved. Obviously we handle it and it's hey, it's not a fun one. But we're all in this together. We'll suck it up and, take some licks and get it done. But to the point of degrading someone as a human or just flat out being crazy to someone, I'm just no, I don't have time for that anymore.
How'd you deal with it during that one since it was such a crappy experience? Because sometimes before I made a shift as well, it would eat me up, all the stress from it. And I'm why am I letting this get a hold of me? But it would, because you're dealing with it at 8 p.m. on a Tuesday and you're hold on to your family and going to handle it. How'd you deal with it?
Man, it was hard. It ate me up. And I think it was almost worse. I see it now because I tell my wife something and she's that's easy for you to say, but that's not how it works. I'm no, it definitely is how it works. You just need to do this. And she's well, that's not how I feel. Well, I remember countless times calling Brittany or calling Brett and be hey, the world is on fire. This lady is going to come shank me in my sleep. And they're there's no fires in real estate. It's fine. Handle it tomorrow. I'm no, but it's 9:00 and she's calling me. What do I do now? And they're just deal with it tomorrow. I'm man, they don't care. What is this?
You're the 8th agent probably on the podcast to bring that up, the no emergencies, because Brett would help me through that. Because I would like go to panic, like you said, where you're like, well, I got to handle it now. He's like, well, you can't even handle it till tomorrow. So it's like, just let it ride and people's emotions will calm down and then you can have a different conversation and there's always a solution. And it has helped. Now, that doesn't mean that there's not stressful ones still, but I think you are more equipped to handle them, but also you can be more picky too.
And I've also realized when to share the emotion. So like if you get a call at 9 o'clock and it's the end of the world from the other side of the transaction.
You may not call till
and
tomorrow.
It's on a Friday. I'm not ruining my client's weekend for something that cannot be handled until title opens up Monday morning anyways. Like, go to your kid's birthday, do your things on the weekend, have fun. Monday, we'll get back into business. But you have to eat, like, you take on that full emotion through the weekend. And so you have to, like, kind of, put it on the sideline so that your family doesn't get hit with it either. But I think that's part of, like, the emotional toll on real estate agents that people don't think about. That's
like, the mental side we work through.
Yeah, the mental side of really controlling that. And like, okay, I really have to sideline this because it does nobody good to even think about it right now.
That's true, because I was talking to an agent friend of mine. Her name's Janae, and she said, I don't call them when I first find out about the problem. I call them after I've worked through the solution. Mm-hmm. And I think that's pretty smart because, in the beginning of my career, I would be quick to say, hey, here's the hurdle we're working through right now. Just wanted to let you know. And then, a little bit later say, hey, we worked through it. We're good to go. It's like you could have just waited until you got all the info of everyone working on it and then call them and say, hey, there's a delay because of this and we're handling it this way. Instead of like, hey, there's a delay, I'll call you back in an hour.
Yeah, because now they're just freaking out for an hour and no reason for it at all.
Maybe that's like a little bit of the nuance and like style you gain over time as a real estate professional is like how to combat the emotions, like not internalize them too much, not put too much on your client or vice versa. That's maybe the intangible that people are saying, well, the realtor didn't do much because they just got a contract signed. It's like, yeah, but we eloquently handled all these parties. Yeah. That is a huge skill.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't know what the right way, because I feel like no matter which way you handle it, like it's going to come across wrong. I think really until someone works with a good agent, they're not going to see the value in it until they see it. So,
well, after your dry spell, when did it kick back in?
So about after that 4-month period, I had that first year, the first full year in real estate, sold about 14.
That's really good.
So that was, I'm still to this day, 5 years in real estate. I've never sold a house from an open house. And so I quit doing them. I've watched millions of agents do it, but for some reason I can't make it work. I think that's another mindset thing that I did them wrong for like
How'd you do them wrong?
Of like, I think I went into them thinking they didn't work, and then so inevitably they didn't work. And then I never changed that mindset of I'm wasting 2 hours of my weekend to sit in this house and let people look at it. And I think from that point, I think I went into it knowing it was going to fail, and then it inevitably failed. Whereas for some owners, I felt like I had more control of it and there was enough going on to keep me interested. Like, I'm really bad with the shiny object syndrome where it's like just bounce. Whereas like open house was very much like the long game. And for some owners was more like, hey, like it's either going to work or it's not in this short amount of time. And so I saw more success with that, trying to work Sphere and just really bringing people together.
14 is good for your first year.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good. And then I'm trying to think the next year, I think I went up to like 26.
That's awesome.
Can't remember the next year, which now I'm on a brokerage where it's got a team set up with, different online lead sources and stuff like that. Did 36 last year. So it's definitely,
you can make a great living on 36.
Exactly. And that's what, like, it's bad because I know it, that there's agents that, it's all about how you work your business. And there's people that, they work their sphere really good. They farm, and they kill it on 12 sales a year and they're perfectly fine with what they're doing. I'm bad by, like, even if I could sell 12 houses a year, but 3 days of the week I'm not doing anything, I'm like freaking out thinking I'm failing. Mm-hmm. So I'd rather be busy nonstop every day, even if I'm making less per transaction.
Yep.
Just because like I just can't sit still and be like, oh, I'll sell one a month and the rest of the time I'll go do whatever. My mindset, and it probably comes back to like the blue collar, like, gotta work as much. If you weren't working 12-hour shifts, you weren't even working kind of deal. And it's like it's all in my head, but it helps me stay motivated to keep going.
I get it. I've been battling a transition as well because I've done a lot of realtor transaction and like wholesale and flips and stuff, but I've been leaning more into the acquisition side as far as like trying to get flips or rentals. And it's a longer term. And so now I've noticed like some days, of course you always have something you can be doing in real estate, but some days I have a little bit of a break and I'm like, it's just because right now what I'm working on isn't finishing in 10 days.
Yeah.
Like I'm not doing these 10 or 30 day closes right now. It's like 90 days because I'm closing on it, fixing it up, and then reselling it or something. So I had to get mentally accustomed to like, oh, it's just like longer portions now. So I see what you mean because there are some days where I'm like, am I just like being lazy? And then, something that helped me was like, no, you just got to take it in the seasons too. Because like you said, there are some times where it's Monday through Friday or Monday through Saturday, 7 to 7. Yeah. But then when you get that Tuesday of nothing, it's like, maybe I'll lean into this today and like recharge, which kind of grows with your maturity in the business
absolutely. Too. And it's very much like once you realize there will be business there in 6 months and you are still putting pieces in place to build your business 6 months from now, it's way easier that the random Tuesday you're like, hey, like this is my day.
I'm going to go hang out with Zach and record a podcast.
Exactly. But before that, it's like, well, if I'm not working today, that means I'm not getting paid tomorrow, which means I am not doing what I should be doing for my family. And it's like, that's not how it works. And especially when you have kids and a family that like you're trying to balance soccer and selling houses on a Saturday or a Sunday. It's like, well, that Tuesday, that was your weekend. Like, enjoy it, because you get so used to it. It's like, well, I need to be busy on nights and weekends. But then if I'm not busy at 9 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday, I'm doing something wrong. I should be working on my business right now if I don't have showings or different things. And it's like, it's definitely, and I think the hard part is realtors are really good at sales, but a lot of times they're not very good at business at all. And they never build a business or try to work towards building a business. And I think the business portion of it is where it really like gets you to where, whether you're working in your business or on your business or in between, and like really planning it out like you are a CEO of a business versus just like waking up and like, okay, I got a job. This is my job to do.
That's true. And it takes time because like you can hit some success. Like even you hit early success with getting those 2 sales, but then it took some downtime, and that's where you kind of learn like this is in my business, this is on my business, this is okay, this is not, because it's a lot to balance. But I think something you said earlier that I thought was really cool is you're like, I'm gonna figure it out like once you've hit these years in real estate. And that was something I would, when you're ending the year in April, you're paying taxes, all this stuff, you always look back at everything, or if you're doing it by quarter, whatever, but you notice like, oh, I've done better, or you hit your goals that you wanted to hit. And you're like, oh, that's 4 years in a row, or that's 5 years in a row. And then it does build a sense of confidence to where like with your wife just starting out, she can't see that, but you can see like, no, there's consistency. I just plant a bunch of seeds and take the action. And you find what works for you. You're like, open houses don't really work for me. FSBOs work, and showing buyers and getting listings, that's kind of more my style. And it's like, okay. And then you built a whole business on it. Because we've talked multiple times throughout your career, and you always have something going on. And it's good for agents to hear that that's possible, especially when starting out, because it seems so hard. But also that you can find your own lane. Because you've created a journey for yourself.
And I think it's hard too, because again, most people that are good in real estate are very much fly by the seat of their pants, like shiny object syndrome. And so if something doesn't work in 2 weeks, they're ready to try the new thing. And if you try things for 2 weeks, everything for 2 weeks, nothing works. But if you just like stay the course on whatever it is for a season And then you look back and you're like, oh, this is where the success is. And it's hard to do because in real estate, it's all a lag. It's like, man, I'm not seeing anything, any fruits for my labor. And
all
then
of a sudden you got too much fruit.
It's like, oh, what is happening? Like, I was hanging out on a Tuesday morning. I just made 10 grand. Like, what just happened? And I think it's just a mindset.
Well, we probably come from similar environments where it was that more work your hours type of mentality. So as you grow in real estate and get more and more successful, it is interesting because like you speak on it, like how much has real estate changed your family life because of being present and stuff? I'm sure you've had a lot more.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like going to practices, going on the weekends. Man, it hit home when you brought up the 5-minute things because I'll go to my nephew's school and he's a senior this year and he'll have a performance and it's 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But it's like
that 10 minutes is more powerful than any, especially nowadays because there's so many things pulling your family away from you or just away from like distractions. And so like that 5 minutes of watching my daughter stand up and recite something and her, laughing and waving is getting more interaction than if I'm sitting at home and she's playing on a computer or playing on the video games or anything like that, and I'm playing on my phone. And so I think like that little intentional stuff is, I think people think it has to be a certain amount of time to be important. But like looking back, I mean, it's kind of like we've talked in the past is like grew up super poor, but my mom made it a point that it was like family first. And there was a million free things to do. And that's literally all I remember. Like, I don't remember the toys I got and the different things I got. It was all the experiences, the camping trips, the hiking, or just getting in the car and driving 4 hours away to see what we could find, and just stop along the way. And that, like, it helped because it made me realize that it has nothing to do with money. Because sometimes you see, like, oh, if I have money, I can go on family trips with my family and all that stuff. Is like your kids don't remember what country you were in. They remember what you were doing. And so if you're freaking out because you're in Greece, but you're on your computer the whole time trying to make another deal to make sure that you don't, you survive getting back versus going to, Medicine Park. Like they don't know the difference. That was the trip of a lifetime. 45 minutes away versus taking them to another country and they're like, oh, this is cool, but I didn't see dad because he's working the whole time, So
no, I get it.
I think it's a real important to try to balance that because I am most definitely like, I want to do the most I can do in life, money-wise and success, family and business. And so it's a balance of like chasing after, the next dollar versus really slowing down and like, hey, none of that in the grand scheme of things matters. So
how do you balance that since your version of success is like making sure you fill both cups? How do you balance that, especially as a man, a father, a husband? Like that's a lot of pressure.
I don't do it very well, to be perfectly honest. Luckily, my wife is very much like we could be in a trailer park with nothing and she'd be happy as long as we're together versus, which sometimes it sucks because she is my sounding board when I'm like, hey, we need to go and we need to hustle and do this. And she's like, but is that really going to benefit? Yes, it's going to make us some more money, but is it this? But I think like I came from a family where my dad left early, like he was not in the picture. And so my mom was working 3 jobs and like doing all that, which she did a really good job of balancing it outside of the 3 jobs, but also I have very fond memories of my grandparents pretty much raising me because she was always at work. And so, like, part of that trauma is, well, I'm not going to be a piece of crap dad. I'm going to support my family, and it's my job to go, earn money and make sure that they have everything that I didn't have.
Yeah.
But also, I made it just fine by my mom. Like, obviously, she had to keep food on the table, but the most important thing to her was when she was off, what we were doing. And so like taking the bits and pieces of the childhood that were good and like, all right, if we piece all these together, and then just realizing that no matter what, you're going to create some sort of family trauma for your kids. And it's like, hey, So
you have to accept that when you have kids?
I think so. Like, I think no matter what, you're going to screw up your kid in one way or another, whether you're a helicopter parent or, you're not non-existent. some way they're going to feel some way about it. And I think we're going to see more of the pendulum swing to where it's like the helicopter parent style, because so many people in our generation grew up by their grandparents, because it was like, it was easy. You know,
my mom had 3 jobs. Like when you said it, it's not a surprise. I literally remember my grandparents raising me, or, you know, once you hit, it's like as soon as you hit a double digit, now you're good on your own.
Exactly.
Like maybe even before, but as soon as I was like 10, it was like, I think you got it now. Here's the house key. Like you can ride your bike. It's a different time, of course, but that's true, because like I don't have kids myself, but my sister that's older than me had kids when she was pretty young. So I was only 13 or 14 when the first nephew was there. So it's 2 nephews and a niece, King, Prince, and Sailor. And I grew up like kind of raising them with her. So it was a moment for me when I was like talking to them, because now they're 18, 17, and 13, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I'm sorry if I ever did anything stupid or like didn't react the correct way, because like it took a moment for me to realize like, yeah, you always talk about trauma you've been through, but I'm sure there was stuff you did. And it's kind of like a moment to think of. Like my nephew was going through something at school, and I talked to him and I was like, man, like I'm sorry this is going on, but you'll push through it. It's not that it doesn't matter, but when you look back, like it won't be as important and you'll be all right. And I'm proud of you for doing this. And it's like, even if that doesn't change anything, hopefully when he thinks back on that tough time, he's like, well, at least I had some support, like your boss.
Exactly.
He's like, hey, you shouldn't do this. You should do this. Because like, you're right. Something's going to come up.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it's definitely hard to stomach that, but also just knowing like you can only do what you can do. Like, I mean, this world is going to throw some curveballs. So
how many kids do you have?
Just 2 girls.
2 girls?
Yeah.
And how long have you been married?
Been married since 2013.
Wow.
And then my oldest she actually turned 10 today.
That's her birthday today?
Yeah, today.
Wow.
And then my youngest turned 7 2 days ago.
Well, thanks for spending time with me. What are you about to go do with her after? You got
we got soccer practice. We ended up going out to eat at her favorite restaurant yesterday because we got soccer practice. I'm the coach of the soccer team.
You're the coach?
That goes back to like making that time and like
involvement.
Anywhere else, you know, any other time, there's no way I would ever done that. But
no, there's no way you could work here 10 hours or 12 hours and then be the coach.
Exactly.
Now I bet you find a lot of, like at first you think you're doing it for her. It's like, I'm not comparing your kid to my dogs at all. But I just want to say, like, I read something the other day where they were like, you're walking the dogs for them, but like it ends up being for you. So like absolutely. Your daughter, you're there for soccer practice for her. And then now you're like, man, I'm looking forward to soccer practice.
Yeah. You're getting something out of it too. So and the problem is it's recreational soccer and I'm competitive with everything I do. So we took 3rd last year and
I'm laughing.
I brought it.
You were like very disappointed.
Well,
not in your girls, but in the outco.
We won 7 out of 8 games, and we beat the only team that went undefeated against every other team. And so, in my eyes, that's like we beat the number 1 team, so we are the number 1 team. But that's not how they did it on the tiebreaker. So, I definitely voiced my opinion, but it's cool because like now we have parent involvement, and the kids are getting excited. And as in everything, like I'm going to bring in. Like I think part of like with real estate is you go find the best in every industry and you bring them together. Mm-hmm. And so as soon as I agreed, I kind of got coaxed into being the coach. And then I'm like, man, I'm not going to be a very good coach. And so I went and found somebody that just graduated college and she'd played soccer since she was all through school into college. And now she's the assistant coach and we're going to dominate. So it's just very much like that stuff. And it brings me joy now. Kind of like you said, like you do it for somebody else, but then all of a sudden you're like, man, this is awesome, you know?
Yeah, and I agree with the connecting because I never thought of it being real estate's fault, though.
Yeah.
Like, once you're in real estate, you're an instant connector.
Yeah.
And now if, like, even when I talk to people, real estate or not, I'm like, hey, if you've got something you're interested in, like, at least bring it to my attention because if I can't help you, I know who can.
Yeah. And
I understand. Like, I'd be like, all right, we need to do private workouts for this, and this, skills for this. We need to bring someone in that knows what formations are.
Exactly.
Like, that makes so much sense. That's hilarious.
And it's crazy how much it bleeds over into literally everything you do. It's just like, oh, I know somebody. Like, I'll bring this person could be good for this person. And it's just like, you're just matchmaking in whatever. And so.
Man, it's awesome to see how much growth and success you've had over the 5 years? Because we had talked about it earlier with like meeting at Kivo and you being brand new after dealing with the work transition and almost losing your daughter. Like, that's insane. All the pressure. And you took it, and instead of like going down a dark path or something like that, you're like, no, I'm going to dive into this super hard industry with an 85% quit rate. And then you end up building a journey, because now you wouldn't even recognize that 5 years ago.
It's wild now. It's like, at the time, like, you have to just keep telling yourself it's going to work, even if in the back of your head you're like, oh, 85%, that's a lot. Like, it's way easier to fit in the 85% bucket than it is the other bucket, you know? Which it did help with, like, having Brett as a direct. Mm-hmm. I mean, that dude's a broken record, and like, I can probably still recite things that he was telling me 5 years ago.
Yep.
But when you're early on, and especially in real estate, you hear so many of the wrong things and just different things of like, maybe it did bring them a little bit of success, but hearing something different takes your eyes off the prize, and you're like, oh, I'll go do that. And I think that's where the failure rate is like, if somebody would get in and they just had a blueprint of like, do these 5 things for the next year and you will not fail, then people would do it. But it's so easy. Like, they're like, oh, you run your own business, you know, you're in charge of everything. Well, you're your own, you know, you're going to fail on your own or you're going to succeed on your own.
Yeah.
But like, hearing the same thing, like, hey, this works. This is what I did. This is what this guy did. This is what this guy did. If you just do all that, and then you start to see like the people that drop out are the people that aren't doing this thing, and this thing. So it's like, okay, so these work. This doesn't. Just do these things. And then once you get to a certain point, then it's where you're like, okay,
you tailor it.
I don't like this one. I'm pulling that out. Even though I know it works for some people, I don't like it. I can afford to pull it out, knowing that it may hurt your business a little bit, but it will benefit either your personal life or it opens up opportunity to put another peg in there.
Yeah, and you won't be stretched too thin into things that you're not all the way in.
Yeah.
You know, because if there are 10 different strategies you can do, that's great. But if you only care about 4 of them, then that other stuff is a waste.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's hard for agents. I think the quit rate is so high just because of the inconsistency. But I've even seen people that close deals fast like you and still quit.
Yeah.
But they probably hit that 4-month dry spell and didn't react the same as you did.
Yeah.
And that comes down to family support, your wife being there for you, you believing in yourself. That's a lot of factors, but it's possible. I mean, because even though we're great human beings, there's nothing special besides dedication and just willingness to fail that kept us in it.
Yeah.
Like, now you start getting to become more and more yourself, and the clients you work with, it becomes more of an ecosystem. But in the beginning, it's just like, don't quit, keep going, do the basics, and just go from there.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's changed you and I's life, at least from the outside looking in.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I mean, I think it's probably the easiest industry to make the most success for the minimal monetary to get into it.
Yep.
But because the monetary side is so small, the mental side is so hard. You know, it's a larger, like, you're going all in with your family. Like, they're going to be in the trenches with you. And I think that's where people misjudge on, like, they're like, oh, it cost me $1,500 to get licensed, and, you know, it's selling Sunset. I'll walk in, make a couple million, like, it's all good, you know? And then you get in and you have 6 months of nothing, and you start looking at all the things you had to pay for in that 6 months just to be there, and say, okay, maybe this isn't as easy as it is. And then I think that's where a lot of people just make that decision in their head that either I'm buckling down, I'm doing it, or they're like, I kind of liked real estate, but it wasn't everything. And then they just, you know, kind of go off on to a different way.
How did you deal? Because it's been something that I've been trying to always get better at, but definitely in the last year. How do you deal with not letting the stress not only affect you, but not coming out in your family? Like, not saying you're like freaking out, like, shut up, like nothing like that. But like, sometimes it can mess with your energy. How did you balance like all the stress from real estate internally, but also not doing just it externally to them, or like stressing or not wanting to go to t-ball or soccer? Like, how did you balance that?
Yeah, it was a lot harder before Casie got into real estate, because if you're not in real estate, you do not understand it at all. And so it was very long talks with her of like, hey, this is how I'm feeling and this is where I'm at. And she's like, well, that makes zero sense. Like, you should just do this. And now she's walking through that. And it's like, okay, this makes way more sense. You know, it was very much like, hey, you didn't sell anything this month and you didn't do the laundry and the dishes and sweep the floor. Like, what were you even doing? Obviously, you weren't selling houses. Why were you not doing this? And it's like, I mean, I was out there hustling. I was doing all the things. Like, I was working. But then you start to, like, get in your own head. You're like, oh, man, did I do enough? Like, was I doing the right things? Because I didn't sell a house this month. What does that mean? And then now, like, seeing her, like, you know, you could be, like, on a Tuesday of, like, man, I need to do all these things, whether it's personal stuff or it's business stuff. And you're like trapped to where you're like, I have so many things to do that I don't know what first step to take. And you almost get like stuck in this paralysis where it's like, oh gosh, what do I do? And so now it's really good because I can sense it when she's doing it. And now she can sense when I'm doing it. And now we can like just make sure we're both not down on the same day.
And kind of help each other just do one more step.
Exactly.
Just do one more thing. Because I get stuck in that myself. And then I'll be like, you know what? I'm going to just write down the top 5 things I could do right now. Because you have things you're working on, deals or whatever. And once I start writing those down, then I'm like, okay. And I do that and I cross it off. It seems so simple, but you're like, all right, I panicked and was in my own head for an hour. But now I've done my 5 things. I'm not done. But like you're literally so much further than where you would have been. Yeah. So I never thought like real estate would change me for my life as much. Like I knew it put me in a better position financially because it was the first real money I've ever made, but it just makes you more confident in yourself, helps you handle situations, and then it gives you the opportunity to like learn yourself and experience the world. Like those pictures I saw you post, was it a week ago or something? You're in Alaska. Mm-hmm. Like I don't even think you would have been thinking of going to Alaska if you were doing your 9 to 5, 12 hours a day or whatever it was.
Oh, no, definitely not. I mean, we went on our honeymoon on our 10-year wedding anniversary, and we finally went somewhere. Went to, where did we go? Punta Cana, Dominican Republic. But it was like, it was just so easy to be like, well, not this year, maybe next year. Or then I think it's all about who you're around. And so when you're in real estate, like I see people that are coming up behind me and I see people way in front of me. Mm-hmm. And so I see people that are taking vacations monthly, you know, or they're gone all the time and they're successful and they're doing all this stuff. And so I think a lot of it is like you get into a different crowd to where it allows you to think differently and really like, this is important and it can be done. I think before, like in the blue collar world, it's like it's important, but it was really fun to sit around the water cooler and talk about how miserable we were and how we were always going to be broke. You know, like I think it's probably been like, heck, it's probably been a couple years now, but like I used to always say, like when someone would ask how I'm doing, I was like, oh, you know, just living my best life, you know, and it was definitely a derogatory thing. Like I was definitely not living my best life and I was just miserable. Mm-hmm. But it was almost like that was the thing you said, you know, you're just like, oh yeah, I'm miserable too. Like everybody's at, and just, you know, just making it, you know, getting by. And it was like everybody was miserable and so everybody stayed in that. Mm-hmm. And now like I still have, like I'm kind of a video game nerd. And so in COVID when we were getting laid off and everything, we had some friends that started playing online together, and 4 of us friends. Well, it's crazy because like one of them's kind of branched out to entrepreneurial stuff. Obviously, I'm like way out there doing my own thing. But then the other ones are very much 9 to 5ers. They know that they're going to work there the rest of their life, and they hope they have a 401k to survive on. And sometimes I'll catch myself getting drugged backwards. Oh. Versus when I'm out and about and I'm, you know, having coffee with you and you're like, oh, I got 7 flips going on. I got this. I'm like, man, like, what am I doing sitting here? Like, I need to get busy. Like, that's the success I want, the life that I want. And so I think it's easy. Like, it's definitely, you know, it's same thing that people say, like, show me your closest friends and I'll show you where you'll be in 10 years, is like you have to be careful with who you hang out with because it will infiltrate and then you just get drugged down. And so I think that's been the best thing is like, and Casey's seen the same thing, is it puts you around other like-minded thinkers and it allows you to be the dumbest person or the smallest person in the room to where no matter what, if you're just there, you're growing and you're getting better.
Yeah.
Versus like you used to think like if I was it was kind of an ego thing. It's like I wanted to be the smartest one in the room because then I was, I could kind of, brush off my shoulder. But it's like I learned absolutely nothing in those rooms.
And you're only making $2 an hour more than the person.
Exactly. Yeah. And tomorrow they could, chop me and the next person standing up there in my spot. And it's like, it was all controlled by somebody else. And now like having self-control and like, I put myself where I want to be to plan ahead to where I want to go. And it's been a game changer for me.
Man, it's beautiful because you're right. It's like that synchronicity, like the more you want to be involved in something or see something, the more it'll happen. And luckily, I'm able to talk to people like yourself that are on similar paths through real estate. Like, I think another stage is like when they do branch off to start exploring themselves, like you said, with your trip to Alaska and things like that. Like, you grind, and then you hit a point where you can start exploring yourself more, and you still grind. And then, like, I think that's when you really start, like, hitting your stride. Is like, you say, I've got flips going on, or, like, going hiking and things like that. But it's like, you just start scheduling those in. Yeah. It's like, no, I work X amount of days, but I just throw in like 2 fun days.
Exactly.
And you just keep throwing those in, and then it starts to compound.
Yep.
Like, I didn't take that serious until probably 4 years ago, as far as like making sure to travel. But in the last calendar year, I'd leaned more into, and it's not just travel, but like just doing things. So like one week, my wife was like, hey, you need to go spend an overnight at the Wichita Mountains. You can stay at Quanah Parker Lake, camp, and then go hike. You need to get out and just do something. Like in the past, I would have made an excuse. So like, no, I just won't do that. But then one week, I just went down on a Thursday night, camped, woke up at 5:30, hiked that morning, headed back, looked at a house at 3, and then went home and had dinner and called it. And it worked. Like, Did I work a ton? No, I went and looked at one house and I made probably 3 or 4 calls on the drive. But I made time for that. And then those things just started to stack. It's like, no, I'm going to sit down with Sean, or I'm going to go play soccer with my friend, or I'm going to go play pool, or I'm going to see my dad. Or you start adding these things back in that sometimes when you're in the grind, it's easy to make an excuse for because you're on the grind.
Yep.
To where real estate, you can be on the grind and then you realize like, oh, I can also fill it with personal time. So like you doing the practices and things, like those are the things that honestly bring me the most joy. When I was first starting in entrepreneurship, I would bring that up. And now I'm glad that I've been on the same message that whole time. Because at first I didn't even know what I was talking about because I wasn't getting any free time. But I always thought that was the coolest when like people were successful, but they also did fun stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm using loose terms because it's fun for each person.
Yeah,
but like,
it doesn't matter what they were doing.
Just something that they have, like hobbies or things like that. And so to like see you grow as a person, but also as a businessman, I think that's probably the coolest thing to see in our environment.
Yeah. And I think the hardest pill to swallow is like in the blue collar world, like everyone is banking on when I retire.
At the end.
At the end, it will be glorious. And then you talk to a bunch of people and, they retire and 6 months later they're dead because their body wasn't even used to not working 10 hours a day. I mean, we saw that. I've saw more people pass away working in that factory than I'd ever seen in my entire life. And these are people that just, their body knew. I get up at 5, I go to sleep at 8, I get up at 5, I go to sleep at 8. They retire and then nothing. And I think now seeing it like anytime you hit a goal that you had, like it's never super satisfying to hit the goal because you're immediately like, okay, what's the next goal? What's the next goal? And so like it took me a while and a ton of podcasts to realize that if you don't enjoy the journey, then you will never be happy because you're not happy when you get there because you want to move the goalpost.
Yep.
And so like there's no point of happiness along the way. You have to carve out, like, okay, this season, I want to get to here, but these are the things I want to do. Like, it's a one-day hiking trip. Well, guess what? The next season, it's a week long. The next, it may be one time you're gone for an entire year, and your entire goal is to hike, wherever.
Yeah.
And I'm gone for a year, and then I'm going to come back, and now my goalpost moved, and then who knows what the next thing is, and the next thing is. Mm-hmm. And so, like, really enjoying the journey along the way and really carving out time is, we're seeing that now. My parents just retired, and, they said they got like $3 million in the bank, and they don't have to work another day. They're good. Everything's paid for. And they're like, but now he's got to go to surgery, and he's got to have back surgery, and he can't sit in the car too long, and he can't do that, can't do this. And I'm like, man, that money does you nothing. And so I'd rather have no money in the bank, but in my personal bank of memories, I've done all these things. And so I think it's a balance, but also you have to do that for a motivator to keep going to get to the next level. And then
you're so right about, like, it's a hard pill to swallow for people because they'll really just fixate on that end goal, which is still good. Because sometimes I tell people that I talk to, older or younger, when they're talking about like these success journeys or like talking to me about advice, I'm like, hey, you may not like want to hang around me too long because like my leniency to life may be too much for you. And it may like mess you up because like I think it's very important to stack those memories because that's all you're going to have. I remember interviewing my wife on here, and I actually listened back to some of it the other day, which I'm so glad we did it because now I've got that opportunity. But she was like just telling a story about some place we had went to. And she's like, yeah, that'll be one of my memories that flashes through when I'm on my deathbed. And I just thought that was so powerful to like know that as long as you're enjoying the journey, you're literally stacking moments that you're going to relive when you're at the end, when you're, just grateful that it happened. You'll have all these moments that you're like reliving.
Yeah.
I had bought some blankets, some Pendletons from a lady in Sedona, and she told us a story about riding horses in the desert. And this pack of coyotes circled her, but not like to get the horse. It was like they were moving with her. Kind of like a herd or something. Yeah. So she's on the horse, and there's like 5 or 6 coyotes. And she said it was such a powerful moment, and then they just dipped off, and it was just me and my horse again. She said that's one of the memories I'll think of at the end. And I was just, to hear her say it, my wife say it, it's like it reiterates how important it is. Like, we're going to be happy that we sat down, especially way later.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's cool now, but when we're like 50, 60, and we're talking about something, hanging out, doing whatever we're doing, maybe going on a cruise ship, whatever, we're going to be like, look at this. Yeah. Look at like 2025 when we were doing this. And I think people miss that. And sometimes it's not their fault. Like you said, it's the blue collar, like you're stuck in that race. Mm-hmm. But it's just like the Matrix. You can like shift it just a hair. And that doesn't mean that you're not grinding and you're not experiencing stress and working every day. But you just balance it to where you're like, there's no emergencies. And I'm going to make sure I'm present for my family, present for myself, and then work along the way. And then I'm kind of happy with the results that fall from that. Yep. Instead of always comparing or always moving the goalpost, you're never going to be satisfied. And I think for me, it took loss, like seeing people go. Mm-hmm. Like you said, you saw that baby go. Yeah. It's like, unfortunately, it takes something heavy and you're like, yeah, I want to make sure that I'm living to the fullest. Exactly. And that's powerful for people to realize.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, they get to the end before they realize, and there's like 4 pictures to look at on their deathbed. And it's like, man, there's this whole book, and there's 4 pictures, and everything else is blank, or, there's just dollars sitting in there. It's like, dollars get terrible to look at, like you want those and they're
memories just passing it on anyway.
Exactly. And, it's just, and we saw it too. My grandparents, my grandma died from cancer. My grandpa died from a blood clot just last year, or 2 years now, but lived in a house since the 70s, had all kinds of stuff. Well, then they were like going through the process of getting it cleaned out. And I have some family members that are very much give me, like, it's important. Like, my grandparents were not important to them at all. Mm-hmm. And so, like, luckily we had the opportunity because of real estate. we knew that he was getting kind of bad. And so we took the girls up there and we saw him, 3 months before he passed away. Even being in, like, we saw him closer to his deathbed than family members that live 30 minutes away. And so, like, and that was important to me. But also seeing them very much like, okay, well, I want this, like putting their name on items. And it's like, man, you just missed the entire point. And it really opened up my mom's eyes of like, she's to the point now where she's ready to sell everything. And she's like, it doesn't matter. Like, I want my parents back. And so like seeing her live that is like, well, it took her 60 years to see that. Well, I can learn from that. And if I learn it 30 years earlier than she does, how much farther in life can I get? And how much more can I fill that book of like, okay, things do not matter. People matter. And the relationships that you make matter. And I struggle with that all the time because like we've kind of been going through a season of like, and at our church they've talked about is like see something, say something, which is not the way that I should have interpreted it. But like there's so many times that I think about it as like everyone's quick to judge negatively, me included. But like there's been countless times where like I've walked by somebody and I'm like, man, those are cool shoes. And I'm like, why didn't I tell them those were cool shoes? Like same thing, like somebody hits you up and like, bro, this podcast is awesome.
They didn't have to.
It's like how many times I've thought, man, this podcast is awesome. And I didn't like take the time. Like if I found joy in it, why would I not pass that joy to somebody else that is probably going to bring more joy to? And it's the same thing of like, you don't want to let people buy you gifts, but when you don't accept a gift, you're stealing their joy because they're getting joy out of giving, not out of the fact that they're, having to give you something.
Right.
And so I've really tried to make a mind shift of just like simple things going through life. If I see something, I'm going to say it and just be that positive because it's like, especially nowadays, it's so easy. You're already beating yourself up. Then the world's beating you up. And then other people are beating you up. It's like, man, just
where do you get a break?
Yeah, just be nice. Like,
it's funny that we're like so similar, especially because we've spent a great amount of time together. And when I say great, I don't mean like the time was long, but every time was great.
Yeah.
And like to see our similarities is like it's reinforcing why we're that way.
Yeah.
Because I remember one time we were in Bristol, my wife and I, and it's in the UK, and we were walking, and this lady had a really cool purple jacket on. And I just told her that. And then my wife complimented her hair, and the older lady that we complimented said, man, that just brightened up my whole morning. And I'm like, and that took no effort for me. Like, no effort. And yesterday I was getting a tattoo by this guy named Zonley Lumen. He's a painter, and he's also a tattoo artist. I had him on the pod. And yesterday we went, and he knocked it out. And when we were done, I was like, hey, I was going to play my flute for you. He's native as well, and he appreciates those things. So I played the flute. And we had a cool moment, great moment. And then this morning I woke up and he didn't have to text me, but he texted me at midnight and was like, hey, bro, I wanted to tell you that, I'm like going through a season of like, because he's just so busy with everything he's having to handle, a lot of pressure. Mm-hmm. And he was like, I just wanted to say like how much peace that brought me. And thank you for doing that, even though, it only took you 5 minutes. Like it meant a lot. And I woke up to that. When I checked my phone after walking my dogs, I was like, the first text I saw was his. I was like, damn, at midnight, he felt enough to just pass that on instead of hoarding it. See something, say something. Yeah. And that does go a long way. Because even that guy, we're literally talking about this, and it happened twice to me and today. Like that guy texted me about the pod, and then the things you're saying, like, it is nice to just give. Mm-hmm. And just telling them like, hey, you're doing good. Or like you see a random stranger and you're like, I hope you have a good day, but in a real way.
Yeah.
Like I know you're going on the journey. Yeah. Like, I don't know. It's interesting that we can learn. I take it back to what you said earlier about your mom realizing later. My dad lost both his parents. And when that 100th episode comes out, it'll be out when this drops. We go over that. And I was like, what's it like? And he's like, it's just like, it's crazy to see him now in the last few years more engaged into making memories than I've ever seen him before. Mm-hmm. Even though he's been an amazing dad, a hard worker, always been a good guy. It's been since his mom passed that I saw him switch his mindset. And then now in the last year when his dad left, like where we get all our heritage from, all our Comanche cattle heritage, all our tradition, everything is from that side. I saw another shift, and now he's like going on trips with his wife and making more time for him and the family. And I'm like, man, I never thought of it like you said, like I'm learning it early. Like, thank goodness I'm in my 30s and I'm going to already know that that's important.
Yeah.
You just never know.
And we do the opposite. I mean, everything revolves around money. Like, we do the opposite where we're like, man, how am I not there? Like, how can I have what they have? And it's like, well, they have what they have because there's a 30-year gap that I haven't learned from. But you can learn even on the money side of, like, you know, it's the same thing. You go talk to somebody that's been doing real estate for 30 years, you get to skip 5 years because you learn from them.
Yep.
Same thing on the family side. It's like, okay, that's 5 years that I didn't have to go through, or I didn't have to lose this person for that click to happen. This person lost somebody, and I grew from that. And the goal is to learn as much as you can before the end. And so, like, any of those little cheat codes is like a
jump ahead.
Exactly.
My dad, I was like, something that hit me a lot, and like, I can't wait till people hear it because this will end up making more sense. But he genuinely asked Sean, bro, this was heavy. Because, like, you don't always sit down with your dad like this. Like, even this is very intimate. But, like, when it's your father and you're asking him deep stuff, it's cool. And I was like, how do you, like, deal with your parents passing away and all this? And then later he's like, do you think this helps? And I'm like, dang. My dad is from such a generation that he doesn't fully know if talking about hard shit helps.
Yep.
And I'm like, yeah, this helps. Like, you know, talking to somebody or going to some type of therapy or just talking about hard things with people you love or care about is, like, very therapeutic. It's very nice for you. Like, it just hit me so hard when he asked. And then again, when I would, like, listen back to it, because he's so genuine. He's like, do you think this helps? I'm like, man, he's paying me right now by giving me a head start on, like, making sure to pay attention to that. But thank goodness I can give him a little something too. Like, so your next 20 or 30, 40 years, whatever it is a little more enjoyable, where you can be like, yeah, it is okay to talk about these things and I don't have to just push them down. It's just crazy to, like, stack those skills, I guess.
Yeah.
Because you're always focused on, like, clocking in and paying your bills. But these little life moments that start stacking, I think it's real easy to not be grateful for them.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And when
it seems small.
Yeah.
But you stack enough of them together, and it's like, oh, man. You know, it's the same thing like you look at the previous year, and you're like, man, I hit my goal. But every Monday, you're like, I'm not doing enough. I'm a piece of crap. I'm not doing anything. It's like, well, I had 52 Mondays, and I must have done pretty good because here we made it, you know?
I'm so happy you said that because every year when I look back at it, even though I'm tracking everything and I know where I'm at, I'm like, that's crazy that there's a lot of days where I feel so lost.
Yep.
And I'm either beating my goals or hitting my goals every time. And it's like, sometimes you have to believe in yourself a little more, even though obviously you do because you put in the work. But I can't even fathom how many times I've, like, been in panic mode for at least a moment. And then you look back and you're like, I guess I did good. And I was present here. And I learned a few new skills. And I had fun.
Exactly.
You know, I enjoyed it. Because, man, I feel like once you start working for yourself, time speeds up again.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because there's no every Friday at this time.
Exactly. It doesn't slow it down for you because you're like, oh, man, you're kind of living in your weeks become like months to where it's like, oh, like this is just the season.
And then it goes to a
coming
quarter.
Really quick. And it's like, oh, gosh. You know, it's already Q2, and it's like before it was like, oh, it's already Friday. I got this. And so it's hard because you have to be even more intentional about really carving out that space for the things that are important. So,
do you think you've reached some version of the success you were looking for in the beginning, or it surprised you that, like, you created this style of success?
It definitely surprised me because originally when I got out of the 9-to-5, I basically told my wife, I was like, if I can make $40,000 a year, I will never go back to a 9-to-5 ever again in my life. And I was making way more than 40 at the blue collar job, but I was like, it would have to be like we're facing sleeping on couches before I ever do that again. And that was one of the things that kept me going was if I was having a bad week or a bad month, it's like, but would you ever go back? Okay, well, I guess that's not an option anymore. It's almost like burn the bridges.
Yep.
Like, I don't want anything to do with that. And I've always, like, had what I thought success should look like. But growing up, I mean, I can go back to my entire family, and we were lucky. I didn't live in a house until I was 16. Before that, every single house I ever had wheels on it. And so, like, just that accomplishment. And then when we got that, I still didn't have my own room. I had to share with my brother. And then finally he graduated and moved out. I had my own room for 3 months, and then I moved to Oklahoma. And so, like, from where I came from, my idea of success was very limited, because I was like, if I can just get to here, I will never go back there. But now, like, it's eye-opening, It's crazy to look, and, like, I've been in rooms where there's multiple millionaires that I don't know are millionaires. And then that's, like, really opened it up that, like, that's a normal thing. Like, it's a normal thing to be successful if you're in the right room. And so then now it's just been a mindset shift to just get in those rooms of, like, and not even like millionaires or like money wise, but, my goal is to get rentals and do that side of things. So I want to be around people that, like, them saying they got 1,000 doors is like, that's normal to them. And I'm like, what the heck? My one is not computing, Mm-hmm. And then the same thing with, like, every time I sit down with you, it's like, man, like, dude's been everywhere. Like, I've got a lot to,
like
just travel wise.
Yeah.
And so it's like, and you have seasons where, that's what we made a goal to, especially in real estate, because obviously towards the winter it slows down. And so I told my wife, I was like, when you get in real estate, we'll just be successful enough all summer that when it slows down, we're not stressing trying to go find that next paycheck. That's when we'll just take all our vacations, because we don't like the heat anyways. So I'd rather be in Alaska on a cruise, things like that. And so, like, now getting to live it, where we went on the cruise, we went to Dallas the month before that, and then now we're going back to Washington State for my buddy's wedding. Spend a week up there, and it's not affecting us. Like, that's it's enjoyable to do those things. Versus,
well, you realize that it's not impacting you that bad. When you work a standard schedule, it does, because you're like, I lose a week, I lose this. But when you work for yourself, you realize, like, oh, that 4-day trip did not change a thing.
Yep.
Like, I still handled my calls, but I got to actually live. And that's a big deal. And you saying that stuff to me means a lot. Like, I appreciate your compliments on the travel, because, bro, it literally happened because we did a few trips. But as far as, like, international, it happened because my wife was playing online video games. And then the people talking were British. They're like, you should come meet us. And we're like, where? And they're like, here, come to Manchester. And we go, and we're like, oh, fuck, this is cool as hell. And then we start looking at other stuff. But literally from that, like, you never know where it's going to come from. But then I got addicted to making those memories. So for you to say that means a lot, because I look up to you in ways, you look up to me in ways, but we're able to grow.
Exactly.
Or push each other. And I think that's awesome, that it's not just money-wise. But something else you said that's huge is, like, certain levels of business is normal. But when you start as low as we did, sometimes it doesn't seem like that's normal.
Yeah.
Like, it's something you got to shake. So I do appreciate you mentioning that as well, because then that's a whole nother ballgame. Like, I remember my wife bringing up to me, like, hey, we're not going to just, like, go broke. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like, why am I still panicking, like, 8 years in? It's like, obviously you can figure stuff out. But sometimes it takes a while to change that core of, like, no, I'm used to this, or the 3 jobs with my mom and stuff like that. So it's crazy. But kudos to you, man, for, like, really staying down on it, because we met at Kivo, we'd talk, we'd always touch base. Then when all that stuff happened and it split up, we all had to go our separate ways. We still stayed in contact, and, like, you're really doing it, Like, no matter if there's a chart of where you're ranked at, whatever, you're really doing it, though. Like, your level of success is right there. Like, you're working hard, you're making more money than you thought you would make, you're spending more time with your family, you're traveling more, you look healthy, you feel good, your mental's growing. It's like, now you're living.
Yeah, that's the leaderboard that they don't show you. You know, the leaderboard's units and volume. It's like, no, see, how many minutes did you get to spend with your kids? How many things did you check off that list? That's where it's really important. And I think, it's the blue collar version in real estate. It's just like keep you focused on a unit or, a volume goal. Then you get trapped in the rat race that, well, I didn't do 10 million this year. I kind of sucked. It's like, okay, you did 6 million, but look what you did on the back end, And it's just, and I learned it in the oil field too, because oil field was very much like, I'm doing this for my family. Like I'm not present because I want to give my family. And I had an engineer that dude was awesome. I loved him, loved working on his crew. But he lived in Pennsylvania when we were up there. And his family lived in New Orleans. Or no, I can't remember where they lived. But they lived down south somewhere. And he would always brag that I stay up here and I work, the only time I'd take 2 weeks off to go visit my family and then we'll go to Disney World. I'm like, man, that doesn't seem right. Well, then another one of our friends that worked with us went back home with him and they did they took their motorcycles and went out somewhere and did a big old long ride, which I also thought was weird that the 2 weeks that you had for your family, you took somebody from work and then took away from your family. But that guy came back and he said, that was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Both of his kids call him by his first name. They don't call him dad. And I was like, the second that one of my kids calls me by my first name, I'm dropping everything and reorganizing my entire life because I realized that that's not it. And they had anything. Their house was paid for. She had a new car every year. Kids had everything, which his kids did have some medical issues. And so he went overboard on, I think I'm going to take care of my kids for the rest of their life. And so I need to make sure that I'm planning for that. But he went so far swung so far the other way that he lost all track of your kids could be living with you forever, but they're only having core memories as a kid for so long. You only get this portion when they're kids. And then once they're adults, they have a whole different outlook on life and they're in charge of making their life. And so it kind of stops with what you get to fill, kind of like you said at the end. There's only so long that you get to fill the baby book and then it moves on. And now you can't go back and fill this book. That's gone.
They have 3 pages. That's
exactly.
All they got.
Yeah. So.
No, I've thought about that before too. And it's really cool that these certain moments impacted you enough to make you pause, I remember when I was working retail because I sold shoes for a long time. It was when they were when I met a district manager, that was pretty cool. But when I found out the money he was making, even though it was good money, but what he had to do for it, I was like, that just doesn't equate enough.
Yeah,
And then some of the store managers, I'm like, you do that for that? It's good money. It's the oil field. It's good money. Yeah. Not comparing those two. Those aren't the same.
Yeah.
But it's like oil field where you make, good money for what you're sacrificing. I'm like, man, that cost just is too high.
Yeah.
And kudos to our mothers for working their ass off. And really, thank goodness that you have so many memories of the little things that you did. But it doesn't have to be that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad that you've realized it and kind of set a new standard for your legacy, not only for you, but for your wife, for your daughters. They experience a whole new life because you made decisions.
Exactly.
And it's awesome, man. Sean, this was cool.
Yeah, this was awesome.
Bro, I appreciate you so much. I knew it was going to be like this, that we were just going to flow. But you've been such a good guy to me. And you've been so successful in your business in your own way and stay diligent and stay dedicated. And I understand how hard it is. So when I see your success, personal and business, it just fires me up. I get so happy for you. And that's why I was so happy to see you today. So I can't thank you enough for wanting to do this, but just happy to know people like yourself that push that. And I hope to continue to see your success in business, but also keep an eye on you on these journeys. And I was so happy keeping along with you in Alaska and looking at your stories and stuff. So I just have nothing but respect for you. And I hope you just keep living the life you want to live, bro.
Absolutely. And man, it's mutual too, because I think part of the branching out on the trips thing is like following different people. There's a core people that I follow for like, they're doing business right, but they're sucking at this part right now. And there's people that are doing this right that are sucking at this. And then there's people in the middle that are like, have it zoned in. I feel like there's something to learn from all of them. But like seeing like, I can see you killing it on the real estate side, and I see you on every real estate page across socials. But then I see you off in the mountains playing your flute. I'm like, this guy's got it figured out. Like this is who I follow. And it's cool to be able to like choose who you take in from versus like we talked about in different life instances. You don't always get to choose who is talking to you. But now I'm zoned in on the people that I like, and appreciate you being one of them.
Same, bro. Like it means a lot for you to say that, because you're just trying to be the best version of yourself, and then you get these little pieces of people giving like nothing in return. You saying that about you think I have it figured out is awesome, because one, it gives me some confidence knowing that like I should keep leaning into it, but two, it's a nice reinforcement, because you never know.
Yeah.
But nothing but respect to you. I'm happy for all your success. I'm glad we sat down.
Thank you.
You're welcome to come back anytime, bro. But I hope you enjoyed this. I know you were nervous, and this was cool.
Yeah, this was awesome. I appreciate it, man.
Yes,
for
sir.
sure.
Thank you so much. We'll get out of here.